Today I wanted to try a new thing in the fractal world. These videos are brought to you by G66 UK, where you can get your fractal devices if you're in the UK. You don't have to worry about import charges, and there's a UK service centre, so all good news. FM3s, FM9s, AXFX3s, if you want to grab one, G66 UK is the place to get them. And Sook is a great guy who will help you out with anything that you've got questions about. I wanted to delve into some of the sort of effects things that really Fractal stands alone in the capability, the flexibility of this stuff is pretty nuts. Now, a lot of this is going to be centered around the multiplexer. Now, Leon Todd has done some really good videos with the multiplexer. In the videos that I've seen, he's using them to sort of make a modulation kind of block, kind of a thing where you can switch between different modulations. Now, what this block basically does is you put anything in parallel that you want the option of, and then essentially it just selects one of these rows. So you can see at the moment it says row 1. It's obviously row 1 here is going to be the plex, delay and pan trem. And if I went through scenes, what I'm doing is changing channel on the multiplexer, and with that channel changing the row as well. So you can see basically as I roll through, channel A is just this row 1. Channel 2 is going to be dry. Channel 3 is going to be row C. Right, the rest of the preset is quite simple. We're just going to use the Morgan AC20 EF86 bass with the cab factory 103. Then here we've got a 2290 with mod delay, and that's going into the deluxe spring reverb. Okay, so really straightforward. So the dry tone is on scene 2 and sounds like this. I say dry, what I mean is it's this path here, right? So scene 2, this path. So very simple amp cab delay reverb. Now, if we go to scene 1, what happens is this plex delay and pan trem, basically the path will now go like that, right? And it ignores all other paths because the multiplex is just selecting row 1. And we get this. Settings, I've got it on granular echoes, the mix at 23, and then a pan tremolo, relatively slow, 1.884, but if I switch to scene 3, you see it's basically seamless as well, which is a good thing. So scene 3, we go into the delay, so a digital mono delay. Going into an analog stereo chorus. Then this is not set up right. So multiplex for scene 4, I want to go to row 4. So here we're going into an analog stereo flanger, and then into crystal echoes on the pitch with the shift up an octave and 2 octaves, and I've added some kind of delay type stuff, and basically, yeah, you know, that's a whole different. So the plus side with this is basically I've got essentially 4 entirely distinct options here, right? I've got my kind of dry, I've got my plex delay, I've got my delay with chorus, and I've got my weird kind of pitchy thing. As I'm playing the guitar, whilst I'm switching those, I'm not getting any weird artifacts or anything at all. One of the things that you might notice if you start switching channels with delays is that you start to get these tails that kind of glitch out a bit, or, you know, they might change. You get some sort of weird-ish sound. So if you're really specific about maybe things sounding super clean and stuff, you're not going to get these kind of continuing with tails, but because it's going into a delay and reverb, it doesn't really sound like it's getting properly crazily interrupted either. And this looks like a really good option to me. This is something I need to experiment with more. I'm sure there are a ton of uses with something this flexible. Now, another thing I decided to do was, you've got this stack hold within the delay blocks. And what I decided to do was, it's here. If you click this, this is being controlled by my expression pedal. And what's really cool about this is I start on scene 2. So I'm going to play, and I've just pushed down my expression pedal. I've stopped playing my guitar, but because this is listening, the multiplex basically means that I can get this little thing that I kind of froze, the kind of stack hold. So I think that's a really interesting little use as well, right? Then if I take my expression pedal off, so basically, yeah, I've just got that stack hold going on, and that's maintained because basically the multiplexer is just turning on or off these various bits. Expression pedal off, then I get back to my normal. That's really, really cool. The very last thing that I thought about here was, right, let's just name these scenes. So this is Plex. Scene 2 is dry. Scene 3 is delay chorus, and then scene 4 is our pitches. So the options are kind of pretty crazy when you think about it. This is before going into even changing kind of your channels on each of these blocks, and just the use of this multiplex has basically given me access to 3 completely distinct signal paths, or 4 even, because this one doesn't have the effects in there. And I think that's a really powerful way that you could consider kind of building presets. I'm going to think about this a bit more and maybe try and think about some other creative uses for this sort of thing, because I can see there's immense power in this kind of as a concept. But yeah, if you want to try this preset in particular, I'll drop that up into my Gumroad folder. If you are interested in this sort of thing, that's what I was using in the introduction there to kind of make some interesting sounds. This video is brought to you by G66 UK, and I'll catch you in another one soon. Check out Leon's videos on the multiplexer,